Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Voices channel. Welcome to Random-ish. I'm your host, Eldridge, and tonight on Random-ish, I was going to talk about something different, but really strange thing happened in the middle of the night about 3:30 this morning. I woke up, and all of a sudden, all this chatter started going off in my head, and it was all about this one topic. So I felt like I was compelled to write down what I was hearing and to talk about it today. And that topic today is faith. So you might want to know, what is it that's about faith that we should even concern ourselves with doing an analysis of and thinking about how it comes to life through each of us and how you know that it's present. How do you even know where faith is? So the first thing you'll think about is, well, it starts with the belief of something that is going to happen, and you really don't even know how it's going to happen. Sometimes maybe you have an idea of what you want to do, what your ego is talking to tell you how you can make it happen. And then there's other times when you have a goal, and this is what people are all excited about, the law of attraction, how to manifest the ultimate vision of the ultimate life that you want to have. So first of all, believing that you actually are entitled to and that you can possibly have the type of life that you dream of is the first step in the process towards making anything manifest. So all the topics that I talk about are basically tied back to laws of attraction and manifestation, because what I did notice about a lot of the videos is they talk a lot about the law of attraction, but I think that we need to make connections with everyday behaviors and everyday things that we can do that really speak to a concept that's ambiguous to us, because we can't continue to go through life and guess how we're supposed to enact something. So today, talking about faith, like I said, I was really compelled to explore this, analyze this, and break this down. I'm not going to go into real deep detail, but I'm going to tell you, first of all, the definition or the origin of faith. It's a Middle English word, and it's from an old French word that says fide or fade, F-E-I-D, or from the Latin word fides. The etymology of faith, which is a noun, according to Etymology Online, the word faith, it's a word that evolved from Middle English, Anglo-French, and Old French words. And what I found that no matter how you sliced and diced it, the definition involved to trust or promise, whether it be to a thing or a person. So you are trusting or promising your loyalty. You may be trusting your honesty, your truthfulness. The Anglo-French and the Old French word, which has started out as fade, foi, and faith, which is what it evolved to be. It said the same thing about belief, trust, confidence, or a pledge to someone. Even when the Latin definition was being created, it spoke to things like trust, faith, confidence. So you can see also that faith really involves what we know to be concepts of trust. And so later on in another vlogcast, I'll go in and I'll talk about the components of faith and how do you know that you actually have faith around trusting someone. How do you really know what your trust is? Even as late as early 14th century and in Middle English oaths, and even in my English Oxford Dictionary that I have here from 1995, the faith definition is still very simple in that it's telling us that we have to have complete trust or confidence, and it's not necessarily tied to anything. So that's where we actually get into how the behaviors play out, because you have to tie everything to some type of a system where there's actual behaviors or laws or rules and guidelines for how you enact that behavior when you're in that system. So it's a fluid, it's not fixed, it's going to be dynamic. So let's think about that. So let's look at the definitions that we got from Wikipedia, Merriam-Webster, dictionary.com. The same thing that I noticed in Wikipedia is spoke to complete trust or confidence in someone or something. So again, we're talking about nouns here. We're not talking about actions yet. Synonyms that Wikipedia said, again, we're back to the word trust and belief as connections, and then confidence, conviction, credence, reliance, dependence. Moreover, most people connect those types of philosophies or those ambiguous words that really don't have no meaning until they actually connect it to something like spirituality or some type of theological or religious belief. But we're not going to do that here with this. I just really want to break down and see how we go inside and figure out how we know that the word faith exists, how we know the actions that are associated with, so we know what we're seeing and know what we're doing. Again, Merriam-Webster, the English language learner's definition of faith is strong belief or trust in someone or something. No surprise there. Dictionary.com, same thing, confidence in a person or trust in a person or thing. Faith, such as having faith in somebody's ability. It's belief that is not based on any proof. It may be associated with the belief or doctrine of religion. It does not necessarily have to be. It could be associated with a code of ethics, standards, merits, etc. And then again, like it can be associated with an obligation or loyalty that's basically when you're talking about fidelity to a person or a promise, if somebody is engaged in promise of furthering that relationship to marriage. And when you really get down to it, when you look in the Bible, it said, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So simply put, the biblical definition of faith is trusting in something you cannot explicitly prove. Again, so let me share with you some examples of rituals that people use in order to display acts of faith. So here's the first example of faith. There's a woman who has plucked each hair from her head, one at a time. There's a young woman, and this is on belief. If you ever want to see these episodes, you can go into YouTube. You can look up these episodes. You can just go to belief, and you'll see all these different examples of faith. But this girl, her name is Anju, and she left her family and her life. She originally started out as a cadet in the Indian Army, and that was basically what she was doing up until she turned 19. And when she became 19, she said she had this innate calling spiritually to become a Jain nun, Jain nun. And so in order to prepare herself, she prepared herself for the initiation for 2 years. But before she could take her vows, she had to pass a series of tests again to prove that she was ready. So on the day of her final test, they said that 15,000 people came out. And this is what it says in the article on belief. If you go into Belief, the TV series, you'll see all of the episodes. So when I refer to today, I'm talking to the producers of Belief. On the day of her final test, 15 people came to witness her transformation to become a nun. And what she did was Andrew had to prove that she was indifferent to pain and vanity by having every hair pulled from her head. Now, I remember actually watching this episode of Belief and reading about this, and I was astounded at the level of pain that this young lady can endure. But again, this is visual proof that's associated with a cultural ritual that, again, that ritual allows someone to reach a spiritual potential that they have. So again, tied to something in faith, again, associated with religion. So anytime you have these ambiguous words, you got to have some type of a system that will tell you how this means what it means. Another example here, the same TV show Belief, land divers who take a literal leap of faith off of a wooden tower. They said there's a faraway island at the edge of the world. Belief is a matter of life and death. For the people here, daily existence is precarious. Their continual survival depends on the annual harvest and asking God to save them from salvation. So they take leaps, a literal leap of faith from a mighty tower that's constructed of sticks and vines and barks. It's called land driving. And for centuries, the islanders have believed that the more dangerous the jump, the more bountiful their harvest will be. So you can only imagine when you're looking at the tower that they built, the faith that they have here and how it's going to be exhibited. They said the only safety precaution is a tree vine tied around the jumper's ankles. And they said that men had done this for generations. So in this episode of Belief, as the narrator was talking, he explained that boys as young as 9, like a young man in this example, his name was Bebe, B-E-B-E. His first jump is documented in Belief. And what it represents is an eagerness to prove strength. So faith, again, taking shape in the form of, see, I have strength. I have faith that if I do what I do, it's going to result in a bountiful harvest. And I believe that if I take this specific ritualistic act of jumping off this cliff, knowing that it's a matter of life and death, then we are going to have a annual harvest because God's going to save me by me exhibiting my faith by jumping off this cliff. You have a teen dance who in Arizona. a teen who dances for 3 days straight. They said in Apache religion, the same show belief, this is where I pulled the information. People believe that they're created by a goddess called Changing Woman. I really like this. I thought this fascinating. Hopefully I can be a changing woman like this. A changing woman who taught them everything they know about survival. Everything they need to know about survival. Imagine having some entity or being or person to teach you everything that you know about survival and you don't have to do anything. So in this episode of Belief where they explain the ritual, it says today Apache girls like a young lady named Ashley Hine still honors the goddess Changing Woman, transforming themselves into the Changing Woman ritual in a ritual called the Sunrise Ceremony. So again, faith enveloped in its execution in some type of ceremony that's a ritual associated with a type of a religious belief. For 3 days, Ashley danced with little sleep, no food, and only tiny sips of water, and endurance. So if she endures the trial, she, again, the word proof comes up. She's ready to handle all of life's changes and challenges. So a way to show people that you can actually do something that you can only express in words, and now you take some type of action to go in and express how you are going to meet that challenge and show your faith. Another one was an Indian holy man, and this one was really something because I remember taking a self-defense class, and one of the things that we had to do was hold our arms out to our sides. And the thing is that you want to be able to control your body. And so the ego in the mind tells you that I can control my body, these are my arms. But let me tell you, after about a minute of holding your arms up, if you haven't done it and conditioned your deltoids, they start talking back to you. You start screaming. And every time you let your arms down, then your sensei starts to clock all over again. So you really have to go through this. And this is not easy. And I preface that to explain this because an Indian holy man who has held his right arm in the air for years, and Mandala Prayag is the place where this occurred. The person's name is Reshma Thakar, and a career driven from Chicago, a woman from Chicago in search of a connection to the divine. She quit her job. She traveled to the banks of the Ganges River in India for the Kumbh Mela, joining millions at the world's largest spiritual gathering. Now, again, examples about how people exemplify or behavioralize or make meaning of the word faith is, again, connected to spirituality or some type of religious thing. So is this the rhetorical information trying to tell us that you can't exhibit your faith outside of some religious act? I beg to differ, and I will prove it at the end. All right, so basically, like many of the people who were pilgrims, Reshma is drawn to the sadhus, India holy men. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'll have to look it up, but it's spelled S-A-D-H-U-S. So sadhus or sadhus, India's holy men. They practice extreme forms of self-discipline. And it said that in this journey, in this article that I was reading about Kumbh Mela Prayag, which you can find online if you look up, you type in a man holding his right arm in the air for years, you go find this article. It's going to jump right out at you. So in the journey, Reshma meets a sadhu who holds his right arm in the air permanently, even when he sleeps. In their conversation, Reshma learns that the sadhu has been doing this for 4 years. He has 8 more to go to complete this vow that he's taken. So it's still in process, people. I bet you we could probably get an update on it in probably a month or so. Maybe I'll look out there and see if he's still holding it up. So that's a ritual that's taking place now. Now, this is something that I actually saw on Belief. This was beautiful and fascinating. I mean, if you ever have a chance to watch the monks who create and then destroy the intricate sand mandalas, take time to watch it. It was amazing. And I think even on like one of those shows, World of Talent or something, some people came on and demonstrated this, and it was beautiful. And they didn't tell you what the lesson was on there, but tonight I found out what the lesson is. I think it's beautiful, amazing, and all. It can be traumatic too after you get through building this thing, and then you'll see the rest. All right, so monks who create and then destroy intricate sand mandalas. In Nepal, nothing and no one lasts forever in this life. So in remote Himalayan monastery, Buddhist monks are about to create an extraordinary symbol of this permanence. They're making a mandala, a map of the universe with sand. It's an exercise in discipline and devotion. The colorful and vibrant sand mandala is a painstaking work of sacred art, and the intricate project is not complete. Get this, until it's destroyed. Now, what really struck me about this is like when I listened to Jim Rohn, who was one of the first people that really, to me, broke down The Secret, the books after I read The Secret, all the books, The Power, Miracle, The Magic, Gratitude, and start practicing everything. It was he who made the connection when he said, when do you start? And he said, when it is finished. And I get it, why they destroyed these mandalas at the end now. So I'm just going to take you through this, but it's this painstaking work of sacred art. And like I said, the project is not complete until it's destroyed. So they teach you about the essential lesson for everyone about how life is fleeting. They simply put the definition of faith as a trust in something you cannot prove. So what they do is they make this beautiful, beautiful, intricate design. They're dropping sand and they're going around in circles and they're moving really fast. And you start to see as they build it out, how the sand takes shape and it becomes a beautiful work of art. And then at the very end, it's all blown away. And so it is a metaphor, it's allegory for life, that every day you plant things in the ground because you desire, you have this vision in your mind, a belief that something you think is going to come to pass. Now, you might have set a foundation and laid the groundwork in other ways, but every day you have to do something to move yourself towards the end result. And that's where that belief system comes in, because first of all, every day to get up, I have to have some type of a thought process that tells me and shows me in my mind this finished project that I'm working for. And so if I'm trusting in something that I cannot explicitly prove, but somehow in my mind, I see the finished product or project, it's that thing that I'm working towards. And every single day, subconsciously and consciously, I will put actions into place to make sure that I get what I'm supposed to have, because that's the way the human mind works. We do not want to be wrong, and we don't necessarily want to be made a liar out of, because and that's why a lot of times people tell what they're going to do, because it forces you to stay focused and dedicated to your conviction. So if you think about faith, you trusting in something that you don't necessarily know whether you can do or whether you can prove it, but you can actually see. That's this whole philosophy of manifesting things, the secret to manifesting. And like I was saying last week, like rituals that you get yourself involved in, you have to be careful, because if you know what those rituals are and what they should manifest, then don't we need to choose wisely the things that we take on every day? Because most of us are in situations where the circumstances that we are believing in start out as hope, but while you wait for the manifestation of this something or someone that you desire, you have to exemplify unwavering trust and believe that the outcome is going to manifest. You have to actually believe that that action and that outcome will manifest in form, not from proof, but from a promise. Because you have nothing. Remember, they said faith involves lack of proof. That's one thing that you know, there's lack of proof. So how does faith manifest in your life? That's something that I think that we all need to sit back and just ponder every now and then, is if we have faith in things that it is that we are believing are going to happen to make us be the better person and strive to fulfill the purpose that we have for our life, then how are we utilizing faith to make our purpose manifest for us? How do I prove that I believe in something or someone to the point that my behaviors start aligning with what it is that I am hoping is going to manifest in form from a promise? So the question is what are you hoping to manifest is the first thing that you really have to sit down and think about, because the what is going to result in the actual thing that's going to show up at your door or in your mailbox or wherever it's going to show up. What are the actions of proof that you are taking each day in order to show that you have faith, that you believe that what it is is going to be a fruits of your labor. Are you going to see it? Now, people might say, what is faith? Okay, I got like the classic example. I think that faith is for all of us to really think about. And you may not think about this, but as I was thinking about this at 3:30 this morning when I was switching my subject that I was going to talk about, I thought about it. I said, what is faith? It's working for someone and trusting that you will receive the pay negotiated at the end of the time frame that was negotiated. So until you receive the money for the work done that was done yesterday, last week, 2 weeks ago, you are exhibiting the definition of faith, or the assurance of things hoped for and the convictions of things not seen. Because you haven't seen the money. Show me the money. It hasn't happened yet. So I just want to leave you with that. If you work it every week or every day and you are actually going in, performing at your highest performance level, and you're waiting for that check, you are exhibiting the strongest behavior, because you trust that at the end of a week, a day, 2 weeks, or whatever was negotiated as the end of the payroll, that someone's going to hand you something that's a negotiable instrument, or there's a deposit that's going to show up in your bank. That's faith, you guys. The quintessential explanation and example of faith. So that's random-ish for tonight. Me with my random thoughts up in the middle of the night. Again, my name is Eldridge. And if you like this type of a dialogue or this type of analysis in this conversation, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that you know when new videos are uploaded. Comment and share your frequency on what your idea of faith is. And when I say sharing your frequency, that's asking you to leave a comment about what it is that you think, because this is Voices, the channel where nothing's wrong and everybody's voices deserves to be heard. So help me to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours so that I can add additional features. And on that note, again, I wish you a beautiful week and have faith that everything is going to work out until it's time next week. Peace out.